We'll be speaking shortly to Norman Brennan, former police officer and director of the Law and Order Foundation. Chief Constable Kate Maynell says, "We ask the public to be patient while inquiries continue. At this time, a number of roads in the city will remain closed as this investigation progresses." I think we can talk to Norman Brennan now. Norman, a very good morning to you.
Yeah, good morning, Mike.
Thanks for joining us. Always difficult, these stories, because of the fact that the police are giving out such a small amount of information. I mean, I understand why they do it that way, but clearly when they ask for people not to speculate, it doesn't make it any easier when there isn't much information out there.
Trouble is, Mike, whatever happens in Britain nowadays, or even in the world, people will speculate. They'll make their own minds up. But you're absolutely right. One of the main things that many people are concerned about is that why an incident that took place, or three incidents that took place in the early hours of the morning, wasn't made public. Well, you will probably know that where there's deaths and injuries occurring as a result of a major incident, the priority of the police is to inform the next of kin. So what they don't want to do is release information, and Nottingham is a very, very busy city centre, lots of student halls around there. Well, as soon as you tell people that there are deaths in the city, then tens of thousands of families will be worried sick, worrying if it's one of their loved ones. So that's that reason. Plus also they have to protect the scenes. There was three separate scenes, so the police have to get the resources there. And that all takes time. SOCO, scenes of crimes officers, CCTV, and also if a vehicle was used, which it appears that it was, then the traffic investigation unit. So it's a big job to put together for one murder, let alone three,
yes,
and also injuries.
Yes, of course. And we're looking at pictures of some, sort of, I don't know if they're quite armed. You can't see if they're armed. Some of them might be. The National Interagency Liaison Officers, NILO, on the scene in Nottingham City Centre. They're dressed in sort of purple outfits. Some of them have got hoods on or helmets, it would appear. And these are apparently a group of people who were put together after the Manchester Arena bombing.
Yeah, they're a group of people that liaise with all the emergency services. As soon as there's a major incident and the three deaths and three injuries of innocent members of the public is deemed as a major incident, you will get all resources and all facilities rush into the scene. At the time, there would have probably been very few officers on duty. I know officers in Nottingham Constabulary. I know the city well. I've got friends there. I've drunk there. There aren't that many police officers on duty. It's a very small force. Yeah. There have been one armed response unit that would have covered that area. Fortunately, they're very fast cars. It's a very big countryside area outside Nottingham itself. So they would have got to the scene quickly. Then, of course, you would have other armed officers that are on call. They would have immediately got in their vehicles from their home addresses. And on days such as this, getting back to who actually attends, there would have been mutual aid if required. That means that all the surrounding forces would have sent, if required, a traffic car, response units, a public order, anything and everything to help another force seal the scene. But it looks like Nottingham Police Constabulary have certainly got the resources in place, and they've sealed off the whole city area.
Yes, and as they have sealed off that road, as we can see, I'm not sure exactly which road that is, but what would the police be looking for? Because we see this quite a lot, and obviously a lot of people don't have your expertise, Norman. So what are the police looking for? I know they sometimes do, if there are murder cases, they'll sometimes do, say, a fingertip search or something like that. But what would they be looking for on the city streets this morning?
Well, it appears that a vehicle was used in this incident. Whether it was used in all three, which one can presume it may well have been, from evidence that we have so far, but obviously Nottingham Police will tell that. But any time a vehicle has been used, you will have to travel the route that vehicle did for any forensic. Who did they hit? Did they hit another car? Was anything thrown from the vehicle? Is there anything of evidential value that could have been lost in that road? And as it appears that this vehicle has driven through numerous roads, every single, basically, square inch will be searched by the police. That's why this is such a meticulous investigation and why you see all the roads sealed off there. And it's not until the police can meticulously carry out their forensics, because they'll have forensic teams going there as well as fingertip searches, and that's what takes time. It's not done in 5 or 10 minutes.
No, of course. And from what we understand, it would appear that the people who have died were found dead in the streets rather than at an address or anything like that. I don't know if that's actually been confirmed by the police at this point, but that would suggest that there's no a specific house that's involved.
Well, it just all depends. I mean, I've seen a couple of other channels with their presenters speculating on what may or may not have happened, which isn't helpful because that starts rumours that are not helpful. Yeah. The best thing to do is what I tell everyone is listen to the police. Nottinghamshire Police will feed the information out, and even if it's a drip feed, there will be reason. There are reasons why police don't come out and give everybody the facts. Are they looking for someone else? Are they searching an address? What has actually happened? Well, the police will have an idea, and it's their job, the police's job, to keep secret and private information that they feel, if they tell the public, may frustrate their investigations.
Yes, exactly right. And, I mean, Nottingham as an area is not somewhere that I'm particularly familiar with. I mean, I've been there a few times, but not particularly recently. How would you describe Nottingham as a place?
It's a lovely place. I've got a senior police officer that I've known there for many years, and he'd often, if he was on duty last night, he would have been in charge of the whole force area. And it is a small force, but the city centre is great. It's got lots of pubs. Occasionally, sadly, I've reported on someone being stabbed to death, but it's a big student area. There are huge numbers of student halls and colleges, and it's a lovely place to visit. I go up there to Trent Bridge. It's a nice little Wetherspoon place there. We have a walk around the Olympic rowing system that they had there, and I love Nottingham. I drive through it regular, and I've got a lot of friends there, and it is a relatively safe area to live in as well.
That's why I was saying this morning about the student population, because not without wishing to put too much of a broad brush on it, you know, a lot of students don't wake up terribly early, but if you are a student in Nottingham, you should probably get onto your parents and tell them you're okay, just in case they're worried, because I remember there's been a couple of incidents that have happened while my kids have been in London, and you want to know that they're okay, don't you?
Absolutely. I mean, as I said, that is always a priority where someone has been murdered, is that you tell the next of kin as soon as possible. The worst thing to do is be watching the television or listen to the radio and you hear 3 dead, 1 dead, 2 dead in the area that you live. And when you've got a loved one, A, that lives there that may have been out, or B, one of your own family that is out, your first thought is, my God, is it them? And straight away, everybody starts ringing their loved ones just to make sure they're safe. That's why it was the priority of the police, as I reiterate. They found out the identity of those that were tragically killed and immediately told their next of kin.
Yes, exactly right. And I mean, we were talking just last week, Norman, about the state of the nation, if you like, and how people are kind of feeling like we're all a bit on the edge and we're all a bit sort of frustrated and there is high levels of crime. And this is not going to help anybody, is it?
Well, it isn't. I mean, the thing is, I've noticed over recent years, and again, it's not for me to speculate, but certainly from the information we get, people using their vehicles and running into people up on pavements, running them. And to be quite honest with you, Mike, I deal with homicide, gun and knife crime and have sort of overseen it for 30-odd years, is that a motor vehicle is as lethal as a gun or a knife, and it should be treated that way. I regularly see some of my police colleagues rammed off of streets. A female the other day was trying to arrest a drug dealer, and he ran the vehicle and split her head open. I mean, the vehicle crime is very serious, and I don't think it's being treated as serious as it really should be.
Well, this is the thing. I mean, I was just talking to Andrew Jenkins MP there about the general level of crime in this country, and she reported that incident, which I don't know whether you saw on Twitter, of a gang of robbers who basically just smashed the front window of a jewellery store in Leeds and started helping themselves to the jewellery in the shop window. And it's happening in broad daylight.
I posted on that this morning, I think I said, 3 men armed with axes and baseball bats go shopping, not in the high street, not the sort of shopping that you and I do, brazenly doing so, knowing or fearing very little reprisals. And even when the police arrest them and put them before the courts, the sentences are so derisory that it is not a deterrent. That is why people are carrying weapons on the streets, driving like lunatics, killing people. Sometimes they're shot. Often they're beaten up. There's often gangs attacking people. We heard in London the other day the highest number of Rolex watches. It's as though there is a free-for-all of criminality on the streets of Britain. And I'm ashamed to say, and it's not the police's fault, we can blame, they seem to be blamed for everything, but we have a criminal justice system that is broken. We have the police that can't cope. We have victims that are failed. And we have a public that are scared witless often to go out on the streets. What does that say? And who's actually addressing it, Mike? Who gives a toss about what's going on? All we hear about is distraction politics. It's about bringing this politician down, bringing that one down, leaking this story, leaking that story. Well, we have a country on its knees, and there doesn't seem to be anybody that's in power that's prepared to put their hand out and help bring us up and brush us down and move forward.
Exactly. It's an incredible situation. Norman, thank you very much indeed. Appreciate your time. Norman Brennan, former police officer, director of the Law and Order Foundation. Mike.